Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsors for the month, AMP Agency. AMP is a full-service digital marketing agency that specializes in tour, rental, and destination marketing.
We would not have sponsors on the show if we could not vouch for them ourselves. AMP Agency does a bunch of stuff for Destiny Water Adventures personally. I 100% vouch for this guy. I've handed them over to other companies in the past before they officially became a sponsor, and they have had nothing but great things to say. If you guys are doing your own marketing and doing a piss poor job of it, do yourselves a favor. Hand yourselves over to AMP Agency, specifically Steve Edwards, their CEO, will call you personally and have a great conversation with you about what you guys need to do for your marketing.
Listen, guys, they do pretty much everything in digital marketing. Website development, maintenance, Google AdWords, PPC, graphic design, social media management, SEO, and a myriad of other things. When you choose a marketing company, it's so important to choose a company that knows your industry. And AMP Agency knows activity marketing, especially water sports and tours. They got a promo going for Awkward Water Sport Guy listeners for their managed websites. Use promo code Awkward Podcast when you go to amp.agency. Again, that's amp.agency, promo code Awkward Podcast. You get 3 months free and get started with AMP Agency. All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
Damn you, dude.
What, you don't like
I
data?
hate surveys. No,
You don't like data? You don't like surveys?
No,
I like
man.
surveys.
I like fucking. I just like throwing it. I'm like a.
You like shooting from the hip.
I
You
love
like shooting
it,
from the
man.
hip.
I know, dude. I just know. I like. Here's what I do. I look at every booking we take every day. Every day, man. I don't have my notifications turned on because it annoys me, but I check them religiously. Every 20 minutes, dude, I see, and I look at every dollar amount, and I know what it's for instinctually. And so I know what's going on in the world, man. I don't even need to go down there. I look at people's names, and I know what's going on, man. I got Kevin's crystal ball of water sports, man. Check me out. No, I like data. I like data. I like data solutions.
I like data too.
I just don't like pouring through it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do data today, like we did last week. But this is actually a really good exercise for us because we talk about ResTech on the show all the time. But we did a survey in our group. We had about 25 of you fill this survey out about your ResTech, what you like, what you don't like.
Fucking Yeti mug. Where's my Yeti?
Well, you lost this. So we did a Yeti, WaveRes Yeti mug, and we spin the wheel. Dan Sandor won the Yeti mug.
I thought everyone got one who filled this out.
No, we spun a wheel.
Dan. Oh, Dan. He's like from North Carolina.
No, he's from Georgia.
Yeah. He messaged me the other day and he was like, how do you jet ski a guy with no legs? And I was like, I was waiting for the fucking punchline, man. I was like, I don't know. How do you jet ski a guy with no legs? And he was just like, no, I'm serious. I was like,
oh my God. Man. No. I was waiting for the punchline too.
Yeah, man. No, there was no punchline. He's like, no, he was really cool. He just like hung out on the beach and I was like, what was his name? Matt?
God. Anyways.
Terrible. I know. It's terrible.
Well, if you join WaveRes, then you get a free Jim Yeti mug.
Get out of here. Fucking, oh my God. How much do my references get me, man? I can't get a Yeti mug, man. And then I'll always drink it. I'll come walking into Arrival drinking. I'll be like, oh, you're not a Trip Shock partner? You're not a Wave? I'll have two of them. Trip Shock and WaveRes. Drinking from both of them. Yeah.
No, I actually I know somebody that uses Fair Harbor, and Fair Harbor makes over $150,000 a year in booking fees. And they went to the Fair Harbor booth at Arrival, and they said, "Hey, you guys make a lot of money." And they went back and they gave him a T-shirt. And I mean, we do the same thing, but it's just kind of funny, you know?
Yeah, like, I went back. I went and I was like, hey, are you guys giving stuff out? And they were like, yeah, they gave me like a cookie and water. And I was like, oh, no, it wasn't, it was Viator. That was Viator.
Yeah, the Viator, the cookie and the water.
Yeah, cookie and water. I'm like, oh, no shit, that Viator would give me a cookie and not a T-shirt, you cheap fucks.
Yeah.
Whatever. So well, anyway, that's why I took the survey. I don't even remember what it was for.
Yeah. So anyways, we asked a bunch of different questions about what features you like, what you don't like, how often you change, what your feedback was. And it was pretty interesting, to say the least, because there is definitely some things that surprised me. So before I begin, I'll give you some background of like who took the survey and what kind of companies were involved in this. So more than 60% of the people that responded, they're 2 to 10 employees. 31% were 11 to 25. So this is mostly small to medium sized companies that took the survey. Majority were boat and jet ski rentals, small group private tours, and multi-passenger boats. So I would say half of the people were boat and jet ski rentals. Current reservation systems, Fair Harbor was half. And then between Peak, WaveRes, people put Get My Boat and Boat Setter as their reservation system, surprisingly. So a lot of people, I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
and your insurance provider, and it's going to be everything else if you fucking keep on dealing with these bullshit laws. That Get My Boat and Boat Setter are going to be your fucking everything. They're going to own your business. Keep with stupid shit like that. Keep thinking that way.
Anyways,
sorry.
So one question we asked everybody was how many times you switched your reservation system. What do you think the answer to that was?
Average? Average,
yeah.
Average would be 0.
So it was 50-50. So 50% have never switched. The other, and it was exactly 50-50. Another 50% has switched at least one time. So,
man, you know who could have done this fucking show with you, and I could have just took the week off. Would have been Ilya.
Ilya, oh yeah, Ilya would love it.
I mean,
we need
like
your
being business partners with fucking like the biggest fan of a rival, man. Like all he cares about is Reds Tech and OTAs.
But I need someone to offset my nerdiness on the show regarding this. So,
hey, speaking of which, did you see that? That I'm sure you did, that Czech Front and Resdy merged?
Yeah, that's big news.
That's big news,
but man. we knew that there's going to be consolidation. There's too many reservation softwares out there. Like, honestly, I think big congrats to Jason and Grant. Like, that's a big deal. We're going to
bring those guys back on, and we'll talk.
We'll talk about. That's a great idea.
Like a merger. Like, what does like a merger look like? Because when a lot of people probably don't know this, but I was almost a merger when we left our location. We almost merged with Fort Walton Beach Water Sports, and I couldn't bear to have another partner. I just probably would have sold at that point. I mean, the guys were great that owned it, but I already have enough. I've got one Ilya in my life. That's the only partner.
You don't need.
But they'll bring them on and talk.
Yeah, we'll bring them on. That's a good idea. Sure.
I didn't mean. I had to sideline us like a little
exactly.
bit. So we found out that 50% have switched. What did that 50% switch say?
We didn't ask where they switched from. Just saying that they have switched. Nobody mentioned they switched more than once though. But that's pretty typical. The first system they get on, they get the feel for it, and then they move to something that's maybe more suitable for their business. We asked, how long have you been with your current reservation system? 40% said 5 years plus. So, I mean, I expected that to be around 50%, but 22% said 3 years and 18% said 2 years or more. So, people, we can see that more than half are.
Question. Wait. Yep. Of those people that you asked, though, that had been 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, were they in business for that long?
Are you tired of spending countless hours managing your water sport and boat rental reservations manually? Is your current system outdated or doesn't provide the necessary features that your business requires? Hi, I'm Greg Fisher, the CEO of WaveRes, an online reservation software built by operators for operators. With our system, you can offer 24/7 online booking to your customers, allowing them to book and pay for their rentals at their convenience. You can also send SMS notifications to your customers, keeping them updated on their reservation status and any changes that may occur. Custom options and dynamic pricing enable you to offer tailored packages to your customers, helping you stand out from your competitor. Plus, our system integrates with companies like Werewolf Digital Waivers and TripShock, streamlining your operations and ensuring a seamless booking experience for your customers. Our software is the best choice for water sport and boat tour operators as it is designed to cater specifically to your needs. So why waste any more time on manual reservation management? Try WaveRes today and take your business to the next level. For a limited time, mention this ad and receive a $100 credit when you sign up. Check out waveres.com for more info or to schedule a free demo. Now let's get back to the show. That's a good question. I never asked that. No.
Yeah.
But we do see that even only 60% of people have been using a reservation system for less than 3 years or 3 years or less. So it goes to show like a lot of people are still just moving into online reservation software. It's just still a very new industry for most that are, adapting to the things that are happening. On a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you think your system works for boating water sports? And surprisingly, 45% gave it an 8 out of a 10. And only 2 respondents gave it less than a 6 out of 10. So we're doing okay, it seems, accommodating the boat and tour rental, but not phenomenal. And then the next question is the features, right? So I asked everybody, I put a bunch of features there, and I asked everybody to check 5 features that are most impactful for the water sport and boat tour industry, and then just specifically to their business. Overwhelmingly, online booking is number 1. And then the next ones are kind of scattered, but waiver boater test integration was the second. And then SMS email communication was tied. And then third was dashboard reporting and analytics.
It's all that, listen, man, and I don't want to be stuff like that. You fuckers, man, that is the most important thing. Your SMS, your fucking, you know what I mean? Honestly, there's $50 a month or something like that. Can you integrate a fucking boat test in there? And look, I'm in the boat test business. Hopefully very soon. And I can tell you, man. And the problem is this is and this is why no one switches, right? So when you first get into the industry, I watch it happen firsthand with my partner. Bright, shiny toy syndrome that every entrepreneur suffers from. So when you get Fair Harbor, or you get Peak Pro, or you get WaveRes, or you get whatever, you're fucking with it, right? You're like, oh, this is cool, and this is neat, and that's cool, and this is cool. When you get to those reports, you're like, boom! I want to blow my brain out. That was the one thing that Ilya does focus on is reports. And the custom dash and the custom reporting. And I don't mean to be like a commercial for Fair Harbor. And it's that is the shit that I look at every single day. I run sales reports. And to this point, right? We get super macro on it. We have a list of reports that we pull up all the time. Tips, sales, the segregation of our sales, where those sales are come from, what is doing best. I'm always looking from last year to this year, who and what is performing. We build out custom, but so this is a very unique to us, right? This is because I have a very smart engineer business partner who wants to get so deep in the weeds on this, but I find that so telling about what people want. Obviously you want great SMS, you want this stuff, but reporting tools and knowing what your business is doing, year against year, item against item, the devil's in those decimals. And thank God I have a partner. As much shit as I give him, he pays attention to those details so much of those reports. We probably have 30 custom reports that he has built out.
He shared some of that. It's crazy how detailed it is. And they got great reporting. And it was interesting with WaveRes. We survey a lot of our clients and ask them what they want. No one says reports. Maybe a couple have said, I want super. No, they really don't.
Idiots.
I wouldn't say that. It's just they're very operationally focused. They say we can give the basic reporting for taxes and and accounting, that's fine. But as far as digging deep into it, that's just not part of the culture. And we're trying to change it, obviously, with our show and things like that. But just to kind of break it down again, it's that the 4 things, other than online booking, the 4 things that people really said that are important is the waiver boater test integration, SMS email, simplified trip management, and dashboard reporting. Everything else was pretty low on that list. OTA integrations.
I was probably the only one that said fucking reporting. I know that.
No, there was no reporting. There was nine people selected reporting, so it was high up there for
It's an important one, man.
Yeah, it is important. Couple of these that I'm surprised that didn't have anybody, like point of sale only had 1 response. No one said that they had QuickBooks integration. But it was one of the most important thing that they asked that they wanted. And we'll get into that. Now I asked, the next question was, what features don't you have that you wish that they found or could make a profound difference? This is where it got interesting and very illuminating. Like driver's license secure storage was number 1. That's not even something that, so when people give their driver's license to rent, having a way to securely store that driver's license image efficiently. So that was number 1. And then
FWC is going to roll up and they're going to be like, "You got a copy of that?" Like they want to see, they want to see it on a piece of paper, you know?
So driver's license secure storage, QuickBooks integration, and cart abandon remarketing were the top 3 features that if their system doesn't have it, this is what they would want. I know a couple systems do have cart abandonment remarketing, but obviously a lot don't because 6, it was one of the top responses. Another couple things that got a lot of responses were GPS system integration, dynamic pricing, staff crew management, fleet management, which I think is more like maintenance, I'd assume. But do you find those surprising, or was that kind of on par with what you think that people, or what about you? What you specifically think that you wish you had?
I mean, I really would have to. I'd have
you
to
have to take
that over to Ilya. I mean, just as far as like when I first got started, when I was like managing all this stuff myself, like it was like they had a seamless checkout process. Like it looked like that was the only thing that ever lured me away, was that Peaks looked like that they could increase conversions at the end. So, I mean, other than getting into the weeds on like what our like bounce rate looks like at checkout, and if I could do like a side-by-side comparison, but I truly believe like you'd actually have to have the data from those sales and your location and everything else that would truly, you'd have to side-by-side comparison show that like at the end of the day, because that truly is to me what really matters in your ResTech, because the sale doesn't get made on your website. It gets made on their website or your ResTech's website. So having a flow that's seamless and gets the customer to check out and gets the upsells that you have and the remarketing and makes all that seamless. Like if you're just an operator that's just getting started, that's going to be the most important function. It's like, can they close the conversion online?
And we're going to develop cart abandonment remarketing with WaveRes, where we're doing our booking portal. But I just want to be completely transparent with everyone listening, because we have cart abandonment remarketing with TripShock. And yes, it does help convert sales. But I think that a lot of operators feel like it will make a huge difference, because that's what a lot of the ResTechs and marketing companies say. It's going to make huge, you're going to get a huge, no, you're not. It's very, very low. And I'll tell you why, because when people book tours and rentals, it's a very last minute purchase for the majority. Now, if you have a product that is more advanced booking, you're going to see more value from it. But if you are renting things and your average booking window is like 24 hours or 48 hours, I'll be honest, it's not going to make the impact that you think it will. So if you are going to leave a reservation software because someone else has cart abandonment remarketing and they're saying it's the next best thing, you're probably going to be very disappointed when you see the numbers. And I don't even know how they even track it, but that's just the truth, because we have it and I know the numbers. So, but I think the driver's license storage is a really interesting concept. And I can see how that can really help make your check-in process more efficient, and also make it more secure.
Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break to talk about the Water Sports Forum, which is now being rebranded as the Port at Arrival.
That's right, Kevin. We're going to be doing our third annual Water Sport and Boat Tour Operator Forum, now called the Port, from October 9th to the 12th. So let's break it down real fast. The first day, October 9th, is the full day event where we're bringing speakers, host panels, do roundtable sessions. If you went to the year previous, you kind of understand the format. The rest of the week, we'll be partnering with the Arrival Conference to bring you supplemental programming in our special VIP room called Captain's Cove.
Listen, I want you guys to hear me loud and clear. If you guys are listening to this show, if you guys have ever come to one of our conferences before and you thought that was great, this is going to be jam-packed with value. Now, I want to tell you one last thing. Somebody, a very smart investor, once told me that you bet on the jockey, not on the pony. So I'm asking you guys to bet on this conference, on Greg and myself, on Doug and Bruce at Arrival, and know that the amount of value that you are going to extract from both of these conferences are going to be an incredible return on that investment.
So let's talk pricing. A one-day ticket for the forum will run $199. This also includes lunch and our after-hours event. If you decide to stay for the Arrival Conference, you can purchase a combo ticket, which gives you a 15% discount on both events. Because the pricing goes up each month leading up to the event, and this commercial doesn't change, please head to the watersportpodcast.com and click on 2023 conference. Again, watersportpodcast.com, click on the 2023 conference link in the menu, and then you can view the current pricing for the combo package and the arrival ticket. You'll also find info on lodging and programming. This year we're going to be having at the Rosen Shingle Creek, which is an awesome resort.
Special guest speakers. We're going to have a lineup that is going to knock your socks off. We're going to be covering everything from assets, finance, marketing, operations. Like, this is the one and done mastermind. And I don't know when we're going to be able to do something this comprehensive again. And I guarantee you, if we do, we'll be bringing the same value in a smaller group for 10 times the amount of money, because it really is that valuable.
Be sure to get your tickets early because we only have 125 seats. Again, watersportpodcast.com, go to 2023 conference, and from there you can purchase your tickets, you can purchase your combo tickets, you can purchase your lodging. Everything you need to know about the conference is on that page. If you have any questions, just reach out to Kevin or myself, go to our Facebook group, hit us up. We'd be happy to answer anything you need, and we'll see you there. Let's get back to the show.
So I think something else you have to look at when switching, right, is like, how much does this cost you in retraining everybody?
Yeah.
Right? Because like that flow that's happening over your phones, and that, because this is where like the data, this is the central hub of everything that you do. You know, like our checkout people, our managers can like pop, like make seamless changes, can do things. So like in the height of summer, if you're considering changing, I would really recommend changing like at the beginning of off season, right? Like as soon as the phone stops ringing, you start in there and start knocking out all the most important things, like the biggest changes you need to make on the fly. Because the last thing that you want to happen in June or July is have some type of resource hook up on the back or the front end, and you get overbooked, or something shuts off, or they have some window or something you don't like truly know, because it is a huge asset. It is a massive asset for us when it comes to that sort of stuff. Because if we have any hiccups, we don't call Fair Harbor. He does it. He does it natively. He has it done like in 5 minutes, or has a resource of somebody to call up and know and speak their language. Because as much as it drives me crazy sometimes when I see them, like, what are all these fucking reports? What are you doing? Just sitting in your offices making up new reports?
Yeah.
Go out there and send a boat out or something. You know? So that's something to consider. If your HR person, you know, if they really like it, if you have like, somebody that's managing your fleet or managing your business, you have to really, do they like it? If they're the ones that are going to be doing this stuff every day, you got to watch that slick phone sale and know that, hey, like, this is what I like about this. And yeah, we're going to be able to integrate this into our business model.
Yeah. So I asked what, on a scale from 1 to 10, how do you rate the customer support from your reservation system? Over 60% gave it a 9 or a 10. And yeah, so, and a lot of the comments were, Pretty much it's good support, but there's a lot of stuff that gets lost in translation or they're confused. So
with WaveRes, Greg gives you his personal phone number. You can just call Greg up, like his address actually. He'll show up at your house, like roll up on a boat, knock on your back door, like, hey man, help me with this remarketing campaign. I saw my abandoned shopping cart.
And then here asks a question, when it comes to specifically boating water sports, what are reservation systems missing out on? And I got a lot of comments. Google Analytics integrations is a mess, or it doesn't work at all. That's a common theme here. Long checkout processes is one. Seeing a lot of abandoned cart without much context to it. Yeah, tracking, check-in, check-out processes. One comment was like, we do a lot of walk-up business with 1 or 2 hour rentals, and most systems seem to only have online sales in mind with automation. That's a good point. And that goes back to this whole, supplemental insurance stuff. It's going to be more of a freaking headache.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. No, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let me get super angry.
And then I kind of asked about OTAs. So which OTAs do you use? And 40% of you that took the survey said you use Viator, which, it's a popular one in a lot of markets. Next was...
What was the percentage that used TripShock?
30%. So it was right there. Well, a lot of people...
Group and our show.
I think that if we were in more markets, that number would be a little higher, but we're not.
Guys, that's not very nice.
But, interesting enough, all the other ones I had, Groupon, Boatsetter, Fishing Booker, only 1 or 2. Airbnb Experience, it's not a... OTAs are not really part of our industry much. Depending on if you're in a competitive market, I think it applies more. But if I was the only boat rental company in a market, I wouldn't use an OTA. Why? They're just going to regurgitate the information back to my customers that I've already have acquired. So
I think you should rebrand to Trip.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Next question. If your reservation system doesn't have a direct connection with your top OTAs, could it cause you to find another solution? So again, if your system doesn't integrate with your OTA, would you find another reservation system that does? And 31% of you said yes. So that's interesting. 36% said no, and 31% said maybe. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
That was like a huge, you guys didn't have, and you're integrated with Peak Pro now, right?
TripShock is, yes.
Yeah, TripShock. And you didn't at the time, and that was a big one. They called up, and I was like, man, we just do a lot of business with TripShock, and they're a local. And I think that's something that sort of gets lost sometimes in all these data and reports and online conversions and everything like that. I think there's still that people miss the idea of those business relationships that are still so very important.
I will say having integrated with the distributors, direct integration, that's the only way to go. If you're not integrated with them, then it's just going to be a hell of a lot more work now because your business is now different. It's connected. It's real time. And you just have to have it. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of businesses that did not move their reservation software because a certain other software wouldn't integrate with this at the time. Or we've seen some reservation systems charge our suppliers 2 to 3% to take bookings from us. So they got to pay 25% plus another 3% to receive a booking and API fees. That's bullshit. These reservation softwares make a fortune on companies. Why do we need them to make another cut on OTA bookings? That's just not right. And unfortunately, there's some reservation systems that still do that. And maybe in the future, a lot of things change. But for now, if you're a reservation software and you're not generating enough revenue from your clients and that you have to go after their OTA bookings too, something's not quite right with your revenue model.
WaveRes doesn't do that, do they, Greg?
Of course not. Fair Harbor doesn't do it either. Zola doesn't do it. I want to be just very objective because there's a lot of reservation systems that don't, but there's still a couple that want to get access to those OTA bookings and charge additional fees. And I just don't think that's right. And when they're making 6% or more on the direct online bookings, which we talked, I mean, it could be 100,000 plus for some of these bigger partners. I mean, I can imagine you're paying them a fortune.
You're killing me with this episode. Like, there's going to be no hope for me to do any kind of networking at Arrival.
Why is that?
Because this is the ResTech OTA conversation that I'm willing to have for the year. Like, this is it. Like, you're going to have to find me out by the pool, by the jacuzzi. If you're not in the water sport forum room and you want to talk about this stuff, you're going to be hard pressed to find me, man. Unless I do owe Douglas some events. I do got to go to some. But if you try and catch me in the networking stuff, like, I'm going to go.
Don't talk to him about OTAs. No, that's all. Don't talk to him. He does not.
ResTech or OTAs. Don't bother me about it unless I've learned something new. Because I told Douglas that this year I was going to go to more. I was going to go to more and listen. But they got to do something for about my deaf ass, man. I'm going to get one of those like cones, those like big cones that you hold.
You need to take one. What do you take to get like real good attention? The Ritalin or something? Like they gave the kids.
No.
You need some of that.
I'm not taking. Dude. No, not at all. Like, because it's not like, like I want to go to like a pizza conference and talk about pizzas or something, man.
Okay, I just got a couple more here.
And
I'll spare you the rest of it. So the last couple questions. One, most reservation systems charge the customer a booking fee on a scale of 1 to 10. How satisfied are you with this method? And this was really across the board. Pretty much half gave it a 6 or higher, and half gave it a 5 or less. So looks like there's not necessarily a consensus on whether or not they like charging the customer a booking fee. What do you think? Do you like that?
Charging a booking fee on phone bookings?
No, well, they don't do that. Most software don't do that. I'm talking about online bookings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, Fair Harbor now is doing that. They've rolled that out, and Peak Pro also does it as well, where you can tack on a booking fee over the phone, and now you can collect that 6%. I know they're started kind of shaking that up. Now, I had heard through the grapevine. I have no idea the truth to it or not, but Peak Pro is mandating that you do put the 6% on your phone bookings, and that they are getting that. Or that there's some, I don't, it just depends on, I guess, how it's being implemented. Like, at the end of the day, if you have a bunch of products and features and integrations and all this great stuff, and you got to get paid somehow, right? Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to charge me 6% of my total overall revenue, I would go build the shit.
Yeah.
To be, so they got to get their money somehow.
Yeah.
If it doesn't hurt conversions, then that's fine. Then if I have somebody on the phone and we can sort of like lock them down and be like, hey, if you book now, like rather than booking online, there's a 6% booking fee. We can save you that if you guys book over the phone and book right now. And that's like another little deal closer we get. Well, that's great too. If you don't think it hurts your phone sales and you can get that additional 6% over the phone and just tack it on and get that revenue, that's great too. So I don't think, I have no beef with the 6%.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I honestly, it doesn't necessarily hurt conversion. I mean, there's been studies done. We haven't done one, but I know that other reservation systems have. That's why they settled on that number and why the industry kind of adopted it. But I will say that, for reservation software, it's like how much money is fair for them to generate off a client a year? Because one thing we don't realize, and this is something that you don't hear from ResTech, is that you are actually paying those ResTechs. So when you collect that 6%, who's paying the credit card fee on that 6% additional? You are. So every booking, you are paying your ResTech a fee, I guess you could say. Whether it be, if it's a $500 order, it might be $1.50 for the credit card processing fee. For us to say that you're not paying anything and the customer pays it all, that is not true. And actually, we have changed our language because you are paying the credit card fee on top of that. Or if could you negotiate that with them? I don't know, but you are paying. It's just it's in a way that is not very transparent.
Yeah, and I think I think a lot of the other platforms have sort of saw some pain with this, and I can't speak to it definitively. But it's something where like Airbnb, right? They had to start disclosing the cleaning fees because when the people were getting the checkout, they were like, "What?" And I can tell you from being like my wife and kids have been gone, so I like DoorDash, and it's insane. The fees are crazy. Like you order like a $10 sandwich, and then by the time it gets all said and done with tip, it's like $30. And I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, this is." It's outlandish, even to the point where I'm like, I'll just go pick that up. You know, like I'm not paying an additional, like triple what the cost of the good is for services and fees. And that's sort of where like a lot of these platforms are getting, like this is like why there's like a little bit of a shakeup at Airbnb because people, the cleaning fees and all the fees that you end up paying, like by the time you get to checkout, it's preposterous. So it would be interesting to see if as that starts to become like more prevalent with the larger platforms, because I feel as though we just sort of follow those industries, right?
Yeah, and you know, we decided to tier that price at WaveRes. So if you're a large operator, you're a 4% booking fee because we looked at the numbers. Should we deserve $100,000 a year from a client if they don't, and if they're eating up all our support and requiring a lot of features and stuff, then I can understand that. But what is a reasonable amount of money that a res tech should make off your business annually? And what are they doing to kind of earn that or deserve that? It's a debate. I'm not going to get into it today, but that's something that I think about as an owner of a res tech of what is fair, because I would think about that as a client. Like, man, they made $120,000 off me this year. What the hell are they doing? And I will say a lot of the res tech, they are putting a lot of money into development and training and support and all that. Like you might want to look at them as a partner rather than just a service.
I think you could sort of do that with anything though, right? Like, I mean, you could be like, what the hell am I getting for this $8 for you're getting a cheeseburger, man? Like that's the cost, there's inflation, there's staff, there's all of this stuff. Like, I think like what's fair and just is probably pretty relative to what your business model looks like, So, I mean, like, I never get into those kind of like modalities. I never get into I very rarely get into emotional what's fair and what's right. Like SB 60 shit is which I'm going to start calling it from here on out. Like I stay away from the emotional portion of that debate. And that's like we talked earlier about it, right? Album just like to the bill itself, it's trash, right? Like the bill itself doesn't promote safety, it's not a good bill. As a, you know what I mean? Like as a byproduct of it, my business gets affected. The same way when I got very emotional when it came to my business. So I think
you're right.
It's difficult.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't say fair, but more like value.
100%.
Yeah. What's the value if you're helping generate all this money for it and you don't see it coming back to you in way of like new features or support and things like that, then that's something that you might want to take in consideration.
And look, I had that argument with Fair Harbor when something got presented that I saw as being more valuable. When Peak Pro were like, we'll do X, we'll do Y, we'll do Z. But they're like, on top of it, we'll give you X amount in return on ad spend or whatever it was, the deal that they were throwing back in 2019 during COVID or 2020. And then I went to Fair Harbor and I was asking that they match that because it was being put on the table. Like apples to apples comparison, they're asking me. But then I had to do the math on it and go like, all right, well, what's this going to cost me back in to the point of what's this going to cost me in getting all of my people trained up for? How much time do they have to spend learning this new system? And it just kind of came to like a dead draw. And I'm like, well, I'm really going to go through all this because you guys didn't give me 20 grand and something or, whatever it was. So, I think it just has to make sense from a service standpoint. So if like, you never really pitched me on WaveRes. I don't really know all like this.
Yeah, and to be honest, like people have asked me, is like, what does Kevin think of WaveRes? Because they take it, and I say I cannot accommodate Kevin because Kevin uses a lot of OTAs that I don't integrate with. There's a couple things that we just don't have. I mean, WaveRes does do some things that Fair Harbor and Peak don't have. Like we got dynamic pricing, but for Kevin to have to switch softwares and retrain all his staff, like there's a real cost into that. And I respect Kevin and his business. And I'll tell you, Kevin, when I feel like we have we have the features that could accommodate you, then I'll pitch you. But for now, we don't.
Pitch Eli.
I'll pitch Eli. Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, I'm very realistic, and there's a lot of operators that use no OTAs. They have very specific things that I know I can accommodate, and I will sell on to them for that. But there's a lot that they have so much going on that I want to make sure that I present them a really good and strong software that I know we can accommodate them. And you know, there's Kevin.
If I came into this industry like fresh, or if you would have done like a really good job of trying to pitch me in the early beginning of our relationship when I was coming into Trip Shock, and I think you asked me like what software I was using for my ResTech, but I didn't even know about WaveRes till I think.
But we didn't rebrand it until end of 2019, 2020. That was COVID, so we kind of. You know, you were already into
to that point. I think like if I was just coming into the industry, especially with the podcast and the insights and everything that comes with, like, I sort of got all of that. I got you for free, Greg. Somebody said that not too long ago, right? I got all of the value that you provide for free. So, but it's like if I was just getting started off, like especially being in this region and you guys so hyper focused on this region, not to say that you're not focused any of your partners in Central or South Florida, but man, like it goes right back to what I was saying earlier about like building relationships. Like when Trip Shock is providing, you know, my God, you guys provided so much of our bookings those first couple years that we got started. You know, if you're providing 20 or 30% of my bookings or more, like I think it would make like a whole hell of a lot of sense to get with WaveRes and to get my business. If I'm going to be on one of the platforms, I might as well be both, because I'm such a huge proponent of like creating those businesses and growing together. And that's also makes it very difficult for me to sort of leave those relationships, even though they are a big conglomerate. It's like, well, I have been there for so long. It's just like people that I've used, independent contractors that have helped me with marketing. It was hard for me to let those guys go or move different things because they were with me like when Destiny was just one boat and two skis or whatever it was, you know. So anyway, that's my soft pitch for WaveRes. And I love your logo. I think
the WaveRes logo is pretty badass.
It's pretty
give
neat.
a shout out to John Stevens' wife, Allie. She did a good job on that.
I'm so mad I didn't get that Yeti.
I might have something for you. Last question here is, do you feel it's the reservation system's responsibility to help bring you business? And most of you, I would say 65% of you gave, from a scale of 1 to 10, so gave it a 5 or less. So you guys basically say that it's not the responsibility, but a lot of you said it is. So
some of you are completely unreasonable.
And here's the thing, and I don't blame them, the ones that said it is, because that's what they're being told. Look at the call to actions for a lot of reservation software. We'll bring you more business. Of course, we'll bring you more business if you don't have a reservation system already. Yeah, of course. But will you get more business if you switch reservation systems? I'll be honest. People switched away from WaveRes and switched to WaveRes. They switched from Fair Harbor to WaveRes, Peak to WaveRes, WaveRes to Peak, WaveRes to Checkfront, whatever. And after talking to them, it's not a huge difference. When someone comes to your website and they want to book, as long as you have the main credit cards, it's easy, it's mobile, responsive, you're going to convert a majority of those bookings. How many times have I booked or bought something on a website that had absolute terrible, but as long as the product is what I wanted, I still booked it, you know?
I'm going to piss my pants. I've got to walk away from the mic for a minute, man. I'll be right back. I'm dying. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm like doing the pee-pee dance.
Okay, run.
I got to pee.
Run.
Golly. Keep going. Keep selling it. You could have just kept going. Nobody even needs me on this one. Yeah, you could have probably floated that last one, man.
So we're at the end, but there's just a couple thoughts and recommendations that people put, and I just want to bring a couple of points. So someone mentioned that I don't understand why we can't just pay a monthly subscription fee and call it a day, basically. And I'm going to say, from a reservation system perspective, we cannot scale at $100 a month. There's just no way. I mean, we'd have to have, there's not enough water sport operators out there to sign on to make sure we have the features that you need and the development and the upkeep support, all that stuff. Like, it has to be a model where, like it is now, which is, the customer pays the booking or whatever. If you have a software that is like $50-$60 a month, I'll tell you, that's a hurdle. They will never be able to compete with the Fair Harbors or the Peaks. We have a subscription base, like, where we just pay monthly for our car rental business, and it sucks, man. Like, they're all like that. They're all like that.
Go somewhere else. I've been waiting to play this bongo the entire time.
Thank you. Well, my dad had a golf cart rental business, and he found this system off some random website. It was $100 lifetime, and then you paid like $100 a year for support, and the support was in India. It was god awful. And he's like, it works and it's super cheap. And he made it work. He had them build features and everything. And after all said and done, he put so much time into that thing and ended up switching to something else that could actually accommodate.
I have been on some, so we're leaving for a couple of weeks, and we booked some campsites. I'm one of those people, I hate fucking calling and talking to somebody. I just want to book it online. And I will be the first to admit, man, when I got into those wonky reservation systems that seemed like they were from 1996, it wasn't even like, unless it was an absolutely last resort must have to get this booked, like, go through that booking system hell, I can't do it, man. I'm one of those people that will bounce and there's a lot of us out there. If you go into there and it's got some weird, and you're like, the calendar pops up and it's all laggy, and then you got to take like 8 different actions. So those of you guys who are living in that world, like, who are still, I doubt you even listen to the podcast. Honestly, you're probably listening to fucking AM radio or something. if you're still using that bullshit in 2023, but if you are, man, and you're seeing lagging numbers, that's definitely going to be not that they bring you business, but to the point of when you get to these top reservation system, like, you are paying 6%, you are paying you're up there with your Fair Harbor, Peak Pro, Wave Res, Check Front, Resd, all those. Like, their process is going to be seamless to it, otherwise they would not be in business. But those ones that have zero support and
they can't afford it at a $50 a month. Think about how many clients they need just to afford one support person. It just, there's not enough. You can't scale this niche enough to be there. Last question, and this is an easy answer, but why shouldn't I just create my own reservation system and keep that 6%?
You should.
Yeah. I will give you the names of 3 businesses that decided to do that, and I'll tell you where they're at right now. They have trashed it, and they're using one of these reservation softwares. Because it's not just about building it. Once you build it, that's just step 1. Now you have to maintain it and integrate it with these reservation systems. And it's just not feasible. Your business is meant to book water sport activities and operate and manage and fulfill, these experiences. It is not to run a reservation software. As much as you want to develop it and resell it and everything like that, that is not what you do. And you're going to have to totally change everything about your business if you decide to do that. I've seen a couple companies that have built something of their own and they still are using it. There's a company in Destin that does it, and they've had their own reservation system for a long time. Great. They're saving the fees, they're collecting it, whatever. But 99.9% of you are not going to be able to do it. I mean, just seeing what we've been through with Wave
What would be the number? What would be the number that would make sense? 10 million? If you were doing all online sales and if you were getting $600,000 a year,
if you were giving Fair Harbor or Wave Res or whatever if you were giving them more than $500,000 a year in booking fees, then I would potentially consider it. Because to hire a full stack developer is going to cost you $120,000 to $150,000 a year. Mm-hmm. And then you have to hire, smaller developers. Like we have 5 developers on WaveRes. 5.
And are those American developers?
They are not American developers, no.
Yeah. So that number would even be higher, like quantifiably higher if you had to hire somebody like if you're sitting this at your office and you're thinking like a developer in the other room from you, that's not what Greg's talking about.
No.
He's talking $500,000 in pesos, guys.
I'll tell you, we all of our developers are Eastern European. They're incredible. And I mean, I got one developer, he's $12 an hour.
He's using that to patch the holes in the walls from the grenade fire.
And honestly, that's true. We have 2 from Ukraine, and they so
a lot of development in Ukraine.
But that's what I'm saying is like, do you have a business partner that speaks Ukrainian and Russian? No, you probably don't. That understands technology. I do, and that's kind of the secret sauce. I mean, TripShock would never be anywhere close to where it is today. Waver wasn't be anywhere close without Alex, who's my business partner and CTO. Because he knows that business, knows how to develop things and build infrastructure. So you don't have that. Water sport companies, you said you were making a huge mistake by building your own software, and I think you even put your business in jeopardy.
Hey, listen, I've saw on the small end of building out Take My Boat Test, and I've heard it like a couple different people that we talked to, like, well, why wouldn't we just do this ourselves? I'm like, good luck, man. Have fun. Call me in 3 years when you're done, because we have like, you know what I mean? We have Steve, we have Ilya, we have ChatGPT, we've had offshore.
And what about your experience when you tried to build your OTA? Did you feel the same way?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I got 5 minutes into that, and I was like, I'm all set. Like, I think we still use the review generation piece of it that we had built out and go high level, only because I get the Trexie, but yeah, it was just like juice and squeeze. Like, you guys got to remember, man, like, especially some of us older guys, and you're 44, 45, and you're like, man, I'm just going to spin up this new business, like, even Kevin that was 37 and a fully functioning heart, nowhere near as much gray in my beard. I have a lot lower threshold for spinning up new shit. And like software, my age, my family, my business, and everything I got going on, like, I have considered it back in the day, and just trying to jump through those hurdles, like when you're like want something done, and you're like, yeah, fucking go grab that boat, or go flush out that ski, and that like gets done. The going and grabbing the boat in the software world, like they'll be back with you in like 3 months, and you'll be like, God damn it, why is it taking so long?
How many times have I heard someone saying, I can do what TripShock does. I can build that. I've heard it probably 100 times. From people locally here, and not one person I've seen actually have gone through with it. Why is there only 6 OTAs in the US or even in our region, larger region? Why is there? Because it's fucking hard. It is really, really hard. And how much millions of dollars that we've invested. I told you we have 5 developers on WaveRes. You know how many we have on TripShock? 21.
Well, there you go, guys. Don't try to lock horns with Greg Fisher, because you're going to be locking
I'm
horns
saving you all the heartache and the stress. I really am. So,
and look to hear more about OT. Look, if you download this and you just love this episode, then let me go ahead and hard pitch you the conference and Arrival and everything coming up in October, man. Because like if you like this one, if you like OTAs and ResTech, man, you can't like fucking get ready, man. Just get those the morsels of tech and what's happening, and look, and I will say, like, if this stuff is like Chinese to you, you do need to come to the conference. You do need to come to Arrival. And I will say, I think that this year, and I might be wrong, but I think we're going to be talking a lot about ChatGPT at this conference. Yeah. I guarantee you that that's going to be a hot topic for discussion in AI. And that's definitely something like I am going to be back in the weeds again on some of this stuff, because I know they're going to be talking about it a ton at this year's conference. And it's something you want to be versing yourself in like right now, if you're not already. For sure.
I agree. We told ourselves only 20 minutes this episode. Of course it went longer, but it was a good episode. Okay.
Oh my God. It was awesome.
All right, guys. Well, We appreciate you listening. And again, check out watersportpodcast.com. Get your tickets for the Watersport Forum in October. And as always, keep it awkward.